Hello, I'm Jill Marie, founder of SVH and Serenity Ministries, and I'm really excited to announce a new SVH trigger process called Auric Flight that I believe will join the ranks of our SVH enlightenment tools in a really big way because it offers a gateway to heart expansion. This method of heart expansion is carried on wings of flight that lead you into new levels of sensitization of your surroundings and supremely elevates your vibration to meet the harmony and the bliss that heightened states of conscious awareness offer. I think the first place to begin is for me to talk a little bit about sacred healing radiance. Sacred healing radiance is comprised of sacred rays that have been brought to us through many of the masters of light, divine light from the Creator, and of course all of the colors, tones, and resonance of the sacred geometries that we are comprised of. This radiance is sentient and intuitive. Sacred healing radiance is the vehicle we use to expand our conscious awareness when utilizing this new trigger. In fact, it is the intuitive nature of the sacred healing radiance sentience that will follow the conscious directives of your mind when you activate Auric Flight, and the flight of your aura, which dances outward into the regions that encompass the scope of the visual scenes that you stretch your aura to meet. When you activate the trigger process Auric Flight, sacred healing radiance instills the space of your aura, and then the process itself expands the radiance outward from your body like wings of liquid light, spreading over the regions around you, touching upon everything as far as your eyes can see. Your radiance will dance over fields and meadows, hillsides, waterways, mountains and trees, and then upward to the sky to meet the birds and the clouds and rays of golden sunshine streaming down to earth. I'd like to tell you how this process came about. I was driving on a back road to Limoux, one of my favorite drives here in the south of France. In any season, every square kilometer of this region is eye-popping gorgeous. And on that particular day, as I wound around the switchbacks and reached the top of a hill, I happened to turn my head and glimpse a view of the snowy peaks of the Pyrenees. I stopped the car for a moment and just looked at the incredible wonder that was before me. I activated a trigger process, Auric Radiance, which is a process that we use in SVH that expands this beautiful sacred healing radiance into our auric field. I waited for a moment as I felt the Creator's divine light instilling my crown chakra, and I felt the radiance catching on my kundalini and flowing through the cycles before expanding outward into my auric field. It was euphoric. I started to drive again, and my mind automatically shifted to gratitude. I was thanking God for those beautiful snow peaks and this wonderful road that I love to drive on, and the hillsides and the valleys. And I was thanking God for the trees, and I was especially excited because the leaves had fallen from those trees, showing me a completely different view of the valley. Farmhouses and stately homes and even castles that were not able to be seen when the leaves were on the trees stood out with shocking clarity, reminding me that I'm not in Idaho anymore. All of a sudden, I could feel my aura stretching out to meet all of these sights. My aura was pulsing, and so I unleashed my consciousness and I let it fly outward, following the contour of the land, gliding across the grapevines, rising upward and dancing through the trees as my aura continued to stretch outward, riding on wings of light, liquid light, lifting me upward in my consciousness to the tips of the highest peaks. Touching all the visual scenes laid out before me, I could feel my energy in the car, blending with the energy of all that my aura touched upon. It was as if the car itself was my bird body, and my wings were ever expanding outward from me, and it was saturating everything that my aura touched with sacred healing radiance. And though I know that the sacred healing radiance is sentient and intuitive in its own right, it was as if I was the sacred healing radiance, and that it was me, and that everything that was touching upon me also became a part of me. I could feel bliss emanating from the trees and the dead-looking grasses and the skeletons of the rows of grapevines. And when my wings took flight upward into the sky, I could feel the space of the sky, and I could feel the clouds, and I could feel the sun's rays flowing to earth, and I could feel how the earth and the trees and even the road felt to be a part of everything that is Gaia. And I felt so at one with everything that my heart started to expand outward at such a rate that at one point I felt like I was going to explode with so much joy and so much harmony that expansion only could amplify more and more through my ever-expanding interconnectedness with everything, even though I felt like I could not expand any further. This self-awareness and interconnectedness with everything was surreal. It was like being awake in a dream, and in that dream I had wings and I could fly, and in that reality, and in this reality of that moment, I was experiencing it. I wasn't driving very fast. So when a shaggy-looking dog leaped onto the road and crossed over to the other side, I didn't even have to put on my brakes. It crossed and it continued to run alongside the road at my left side. And we were kind of matching each other's paces, and eventually I kind of overtook it a little bit. And as I marveled at the strength and the power of this scruffy animal, I felt myself become one with him. And I felt its power. And as he drove himself forward with so much power and so much force, I became that dog for a moment. And then, of course, I came up alongside of him, and he turned his face to me, and I realized he wasn't a dog at all, but a wild boar. We ran together. We ran together for what seemed like minutes, but it was probably only a couple of seconds before he turned and charged upwards into the wooded area. But I continued to feel him and to know him and to marvel at this powerful creature. And I wondered what other animals and birds lived in this wonderland of my favorite drive. And I can tell you that by the time I got to Lamu, I was in such a heightened state of bliss that the only thoughts playing out of my mind were linked to heart expansion and focus purpose and alliance with truth. And these are the only realities I desire to live and express. This higher state of unity consciousness that I achieved is sponsored through my acceptance and my gratitude and focused awareness of that little piece of heaven that I drove through. It was heart consciousness. It is my hope and belief that the journey of this life takes us through many little pieces of heaven like this one, that as we move through it, and the places with energies that are perhaps less than heaven-like, that we remember our bliss, and that everything that exists everywhere is sentient, and that we remember what it is to just be connected to everything, to love everything, and to be grateful for everything. To view it in its pristine form, even if it's a dung pile. Because I can tell you that in amongst all that beauty and wonder that I stretched my auric radiance through on that drive, there must have been a dung pile or two, and all I recognized in that state of bliss and wonderment was the bliss and the harmony and the gratitude and my acceptance of everything in its true nature. The pristine elements of everything that are the true nature of them. I invite you to play with auric flight, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this process. After initializing the process itself, the trigger, each time you think the words auric flight with the intention to activate the trigger, the Creator activates sacred healing radiance to begin an 11-minute infusion into your crown chakra and auric field. The intuitive nature of the sacred healing radiance takes flight, expanding outward to encompass the full radius of the region that you're in as far as your eyes can see. and it'll dance over the ground and the trees and the water and soar into the sky, and your aura will saturate everything it connects and contacts with unconditional love. There'll be a clearing process, a very comprehensive clearing process that your higher consciousness and soul and the Creator will apply, that in those moments will clear away anything blocking you from being in supreme states of gratitude, bliss, harmony, and heart consciousness. This euphoric dance and the installation of sacred healing radiance will continue beyond 11 minutes when you consciously direct the flight. So keep on flying beyond that 11 minutes and stay safely focused on the road if you're the driver. But just fly. Turn loose your consciousness and let yourself become one with all that surrounds you. To activate this SVH trigger process, close your eyes and imagine that a big movie screen is floating before you. And on that screen is the trigger process, Auric flight. As part of the SVH authorization procedure, silently ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment for the Creator to activate this trigger process for you and then initiate it anytime that you think the words Auric flight, with the intention to stretch your auric wings outward as far as the eye can see, connecting in oneness with all that lays before you, in a sacred dance of unity consciousness and expanded heart healing for Gaia and all that your auric radiance touches upon. When you have an answer to that question, simply think the words, yes, I accept, or just yes, and the Creator will activate this process for you. I hope that you play with this process and let it lift you up to meet the heightened levels of conscious awareness that you are destined to achieve. Heart expansion plays a major role in Earth's collective evolution to higher consciousness, and you are playing a major role in that theme. Harmony, peace, prosperity, light consciousness, and heartfelt unity with all that is lights the way for the new world we're choosing to create. If you're interested in learning more about SVH and our arsenal of trigger processes and other tools, please visit serenityvibrationhealing.com, where you can access free podcasts and telecasts. You can register for our free newsletter that offers readers SVH processes and special projects that support global and personal expansion. You can also review the listing of SVH practitioners and teachers and the classes that are scheduled. SVH, it's a magnificent tool that you can use to create an amazing life. So dive in and make it happen. And meanwhile, fly.